This is David Holloway, founder of Hunting Greatness, and I want to welcome you to a very special interview I'm doing with DQwell Jackson. He's going to be sharing some real secrets, wisdom, and a little bit on his journey. But first, I want to thank you for taking the time out to listen to this, and I hope you find it valuable.
Fires, and it is intercepted. It's the captain, DQwell Jackson. To the middle, it's intercepted again. DQwell Jackson's got it. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Flying somersault in for DQwell.
Me and DQwell, we go back a long way. Talk about your recruiting process coming into Maryland. Why did you choose Maryland, and what was it like your junior and senior year? Was it fun? Did it suck? Or what do you remember about it?
Yeah, well, my situation was, I guess it was different from your experience in the sense that, you know, I was a 3-star recruit coming out of college, well, coming out of high school, and come from a small school,
yeah. And
I probably had about 10 to 12 offers, but around my junior year, that's when the letters started coming in. But I had the luxury of playing with a guy named Loman Dorsey. He was being recruited by the University of Florida, Florida State University. Every top 10 team he was getting recruited by. So that's really what helped my case. So he graduates. That's another story with him. But either way, my junior senior year, it was all about, I was a 2-sport athlete. I played basketball.
We don't want to talk about basketball.
You don't want to see me on the court. You don't want to do that. I'm playing tomorrow too. I play 3 days a week.
Oh,
so
yeah?
That's another story. Can I stay on the topic right now?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you don't want to see me on that basketball.
We're staying on topic here. So football, 2-sport athlete.
So 2-sport athlete, and I ran a little bit of track just to I didn't compete. I did it just for conditioning purposes. So just to keep myself busy. I'm trying to stay the course. So junior senior year came around. I played both ways. I was quarterback, only on offense, and then I was linebacker on defense. So I never came off the field. Yeah. I was a punter and all that good stuff. But I had fun with it, man. All the guys that we grew up with, my junior year we were undefeated. I got to the 3rd round of playoffs both my junior and senior year. So in 2 years I only lost 2 games. Nice. And I mean, I had a great experience, and then you know, now the hard part comes is where are you going to go play for the next 4 years? Right. Where are you going to live? Where are you going to stay? You're going to be away from your family, the whole deal. So I actually fell on Maryland. Maryland was the first school to offer me a scholarship. The only thing I was concerned with going anywhere in college was I wanted a chance to play early. I didn't want to sit for 2 years and then only have 2 years of experience of playing college football. Right. So I was able to cross out a lot of teams that wasn't their formula. So Maryland, E.J. Henderson was here. He was a senior. He was going to be leaving, so it was up in arms. It was an open competition. So I was like, you know what? This is the best bet for me. But being from Florida, if you don't go to a Florida State, University of Florida, Miami, you're not the top tier guy in Florida. I didn't care about that. I want to get away from home. I never left Florida at the time, so it was a good experience for me. A little bit of a culture shock at first, but I mean, now we're sitting here, you know, 10, 12 years later, and I'm here, so I made the right decision.
Right. If it wasn't for Maryland, what was there number 2?
Yeah, it was NC State, and then University of Florida. I was actually when Spurrier left to come coach the Skins, Ron Zook came in. And he offered me, well, University of Florida hadn't offered me at that point. Florida State never offered me. So Zook comes in and he offered me a scholarship, and I was freaking a day away from taking a trip. And the guy that's actually here, Mike Loxley, coach of Maryland, you know, he talked me out of it, and you know, the rest has been history. Yeah.
When they offered, was that what year did they offer you in Maryland? Was that junior or senior?
It was Maryland offered me my junior year, and all the other schools, I believe it was like Kentucky and like USC, a lot of teams wanted me to play strong safety, because I was like 210. Right. But I knew I wasn't fast enough to cover anybody.
Right. You know, I remember we had freshman orientation together. We kind of mixed this in. So what, I mean, I was there, man, that was such a long time ago.
I know, it's hard to remember little details. All I remember is we were
go ahead and tell the pizza story while we're on it.
I won't tell the pizza story.
We'll save it for then. He's got to tell the pizza story. It's a good story. Anyway,
you know what? I'll tell the pizza story.
Go ahead.
So this is a pizza story.
Yeah.
So Dave and I, we meet freshman orientation. It's something that, you know, you go to college, you have to go through, whether you're academics, college. If you're going to the school, you have to do it. So Dave and I are talking. You know, I'm kind of trying to feel my way out. I'm the only one there. I really don't know anyone. Same for him. So we started talking, and I'm playing for the football team. And Dave was like, yeah, I'm considering it, and you know, he's like, all right. I was like, so where'd you come from? How many offers did you have? And I didn't know at the time. I was like, well, he's like, well, I think I'm gonna walk on. I'm like, all right. So I was like, you know what? This is my opportunity. I didn't have any money on me. I think I had like $2 or so. I wasn't gonna buy me a slice of pizza. So I tell Dave, I'm like, listen, man, I could help you out. I was like, listen, I know the coach. I know the guy who recruited me. Give me your $10. Let me get a pizza, and you know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. So he gave me the pizza, you know, gave me the $10. I go, you know, get the slice of pizza. It's good, but I'm still hungry. So I'm like, damn, let me see if he got some more damn money on him. So I'm like, damn, let me get another $10, man. You know, he was like, what? Aren't you full? I'm like, nah, man, I could do for another. If you, how bad do you want to, you know, get onto the football team? The keys are in my hands, so you know what I mean. So let's make this work. Gives me the other $10, get another slice of pizza. So I never told him this, but I never talked to anybody about that. I was just hungry. But anyway, the moral of the story is I took his lunch money. I took his lunch money the first day I met him. And come to find out, he ended up being a hell of a player from Maryland. And
they don't try to make it sound good now. Later. So but he's been telling that bullshit story since
it gets better with
now.
time.
He told it when I first got to Cleveland, man. This pizza story has been going on forever. Anyway, getting back on subject, I get to watch Notre Dame. It's your first game starting. It was a huge game going from high school into college. Reminisce a little bit. Talk about that week in that game.
Yeah, it was actually, I was nervous as shit.
Yeah.
You know, the whole week I was just preparing and doing whatever I could to make sure when I stepped on that field, I wasn't going to be in no man's land.
Right.
You know, so whatever it was that how I prepared back then, I did all of that. But I was so nervous to fail, you know, and once I got the opportunity, I mean, it was, I don't remember one single play. You know what, I do remember this. I have a picture of my first collegiate tackle. And EJ's like right behind me. So it's just kind of put everything in perspective. It's like, you know what, EJ was a Buckus Award winner.
Yeah.
You know, I was on the field with him. I mean, that was one of those moments that I'll never forget. That was, you know, once I was able to get through that, I mean, shit, everything else came easy.
Right.
And for me to be thrown in the fire so early, that experience is, it paid major dividends for, you know, the rest of my career.
Right. Once, it's almost like the first play of the game. Once, you know, you get out there and you're nervous, but once that first snap and you hit somebody, then it's like, okay, I'm good now, and I could, you know, play basketball.
It was a little different from the standpoint of every series was like, the first series was like, oh shit, I made it through one series. I'm like, all right, we gotta go again. And then you get wrapped up in what you're doing, and then you get to the side, like, all right, I made it through another series.
Right.
But that nervousness never went away.
For that whole game.
That was the only, you know, going from college, well, high school to college, that was the only time I felt like that. I didn't feel like that playing high school, going from youth to high school. It was from high school to college, I felt that way the entire game.
Right.
And something clicked in the fourth quarter where I was seeing the ball and getting to it, and you know, it gave me a lot of confidence. Yeah.
That's good. One quick note I want to make. Somebody who's coming in that was new. They're going to be a real player. They're going to show something early. Whether it's one play or one game, they're going to show something early on. You can't hide talent. You could tell right away, you know, this person was you know, someone just had a ton of talent. And It was I mean, I watched the game. I was at home, but you know, it was really cool to see.
You know what? I got one other thing to add to that. Other than that picture that I remember, and what we just spoke about, Friedgen after the game, he said something about it. That even though we lost the game, he recognized me after the game in front of upperclassmen and all that. So I'm telling you, that shit gave me confidence through the roof. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
I can have fun with this. Now it was like, okay, you kind of stepped over that major hurdle of being not comfortable, but you could you know, take a deep breath.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I think that happens on almost every level. One's always worse than the other one. College was mine. That was the worst, getting in it. But you know, like you said, once you get it, you got it. And you just run with it. The other thing, talking about nervousness, it's funny. You, Suter, you always had a routine. I remember you guys are going before every game and barf right before every game.
Yeah.
It you know, everybody gets ready for games differently. Did you do that in high school too, or was it just in college?
I've done it
your whole career.
I probably started when I was about 10 years old,
yeah.
But I've done it for years. I don't know I don't know what it is.
I like to just save my energy, so I would almost fall asleep in my locker room.
And that's what I do now.
Just when it was, you know, as soon as we step across the line, then it's, you know, you click into gladiator mode. Next question, Florida. Whenever we played Florida State, talk about why you got so either pissed off or ready to play them, and I know part of it has to be because you were from there, and that's one of the teams that didn't really feel like you were.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It was because I had played in, so I had goals coming out of high school. I wanted to play in the Georgia-Florida game at the time, and I wanted to gain a scholarship. So I hit every goal that I set out to achieve. I was hitting it. So when I got to the Florida-Georgia game, the All-Star game, a lot of those guys that we were playing against, Florida State, all the top guys on the Florida team were going to Florida State, except me. But I took it personal. I mean, not to knock the guys who end up going, but I felt like I was better than at least one of them.
Right.
So, and you know, Florida State in my area where I grew up in was everything.
Right.
But you know, it just always stuck with me. And anytime I played those guys, I wanted to let the players know, the coaching staff know, the stadium know, their families know. I wanted to make sure everyone knew that they let one get away.
Yeah.
You know. He grew up wanting to be a Seminole. He dreamed of having Bobby Bowden come visit him and sit in his living room and offer him a scholarship to go to Florida State. It never happened. He said he may have forgotten about me in high school, but he's not going to forget about me in college.
Running down that snap, boys, right at the last second. Big rush put on. Stovall back at his own 40, and he's going to be dumped on the sack. Jackson, whom we were just talking about, throws him for a 12-yard loss.
That right there is something that's very dangerous. Whenever, I mean, you have somebody, you know, who's got a chip and is, you know, ready to prove something, and you got an athlete or someone that's pissed off to try to do it, that's somebody that I probably would not want to go against, you know, week after week. I mean, we saw Seattle win it this year. I watched a little bit of it, but every player just talked about how they're overlooked, or they didn't get drafted, or, you know, this guy's not big enough, tall enough. That kind of fire, that negative energy can really help achieve a lot. So if you're getting a lot of negative heat coming your way, or people are passing you up, you know, don't take that as a bad thing. You know, the whole team just won a world championship because of that. He just talked about it, and I remember one play, I mean, people probably still remember that play in Florida State where, I think it was Ricks or something, he threw lazy out. He picked it off and then ran it back for a touchdown, but on the way, you know, bang, bowled over Chris Ricks and bang, bowled over the running back.
I remember that. I saw the film.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the kind of zone he was in, but, you know, it's a dangerous thing. But, it, you know, me coming in, that's almost how I felt almost every day, you know, which is kind of gave me a love-hate relationship towards Maryland and where I went, because this is a place where I went where in the beginning, that's how I felt. I felt like, you know, they're telling me I'm not good enough, I'm not getting a chance. You know, so many bad stories of you know, me just getting crapped on or treated like you know, I shouldn't even be there, or even worse, walked right by like I'm not even there. So I wanted to bring that up because every athlete, you know, recruited or not, you experience something like that. And, you know, I've always thought it was a good thing. You know, if you know how to handle it right and you know, stick to believing in yourself, you're going to get it done and you're going to show them. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, we don't get to see it, but we know for sure by how we played or what we did, like, yeah, they know they messed up. The other thing I want to talk about, and this is the last thing in college, is I always loved playing with athletes. And, you know, in college, you get lucky sometimes, and we kind of formed the side. It was the right, so I'd be on the strong side and he'd be right behind me. And we just formed kind of like a gel that, to me, was, in my career, was one of the best. There was plays where he would totally mess up or run in. I remember a play where he had the back out of the backfield one-on-one, and he just blitzed, and I saw it, and I was playing on the line at the corner where I saw him go, so I ran and took his back, and we just switched. We didn't say anything, it just happened. And stuff like that happened all the time. So talk about a little bit what kind of gel you felt that we had, and is there another player, or where does it kind of rank in kind of the gels you have with certain people?
I haven't had it in the NFL because, you know, there's playing for Cleveland, there's always a big turnover.
Yeah, so many guys come and go.
Right. So you never really get to form that bond with guys and
right.
to know instinctive, you know, what he's going to do, when he's going to do it. So I haven't had that bond. In college, it was a totally different ball game, man. I mean, we were together for 4 years, freshman orientation. I took your lunch money there, so it was like I owed it to you. You're like, you know what? Hey, man, we got to be on some type of level. I took your lunch money. I feel bad. For 4 years, I feel bad for taking this lunch money.
Yeah,
but
nice.
But no, it was great, man. I knew if the ball was run over there, if whatever your assignment was, it was going to be that, and it was going to allow me to run free to the ball, take a little bit more risk, and you know, the coaches never really, unless I never heard it. Hey, you need to not do this, do that. They gave me the freedom to kind of run, but I wouldn't have that freedom if it wasn't for Dave being where he should have been every single time.
Yeah,
you know, so. No, that bond hadn't been formed even in the league. 8 years after being in the league, I haven't had that bond with not one guy.
Yeah.
But you know, college was special, man.
Yeah.
It really was. And you know, that group of guys that we played with, a lot of those guys, a lot of them went on to play in the National Football League.
Right.
You know.
I mean, that's another thing I'm going to talk about. We had a kick-ass defense. I mean, 04 and 05, we didn't win. I think we went like 5 and 6. All our linebackers went to the league. It was, you know, Sean and me on the edge, and him and Will in the middle. Yep. And you know,
and
I remember
before
Chris,
us, EJ and Leon.
Yeah. You always got to look at people that came ahead of you, and it kind of set the bar. I mean, EJ was the player in college. I remember I got recruited by the Vikings, and you know, flew me out there and everything. And I stayed. EJ was there, so I called him. And I stayed at his house. You know, he thanked me, and he was like, you know, I love what you did. You know, I have something to say from where you came from to where you are now, you know, getting recruited by Minnesota. Leon and EJ, I mean, you're not going to get much of a better, you know, duo that and the inside. So I think we kind of, you know, we got lucky with them, and also the class we brought in. I mean, we were all in the same class. It was the 02 class.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and our linebacking core was just killer. My freshman year, anything you remember that kind of stood out?
I knew you were strong as shit, for one. You worked extremely. You had a whatever got you up in the morning, you had a different tick to your clock. You know what I mean? Everyone else was kind of loosey-goosey, joking around. You were all business. You had a professional approach at a very young age. You know, even after I took your lunch money, you grew up. You know, you weren't gonna take that shit anymore. Yeah. No, but no, that was one thing that always stood out, man. Like, you knew, looking back, you knew that you were gonna be successful. You know, because the drive you have, and you were consistent. And if you have a drive and you're consistent, whatever you're trying to reach, whatever you're trying to go, it will happen. It's that simple.
Talk about a little bit about that transition now from college to the league. What it kind of for you?
It was a lot similar from college or high school to college, but the only difference is you don't have to go to class.
Right.
You got a ton of time on your hands, so you got to manage your time a lot differently. And you're in a new city.
Right.
You have money. You can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Right.
And so priorities come into play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing we talked about earlier about being consistent, being a professional. You know, if you don't have it right away, it's something that you gotta either you pick up from an older guy that's been doing it a long time, and you ask the right questions. Because in an NFL locker room, I don't care what you're going through, someone or someone in that locker room is going through what you've gone through 10 times over.
Right.
You know, it's 60 guys, so, and a grown man has been doing it for a long time. So I think the biggest transition for me was how to prepare, how to study, where to train when the off season came about.
Right.
You know, having a routine. You know, all of us athletes at any level, the one thing we're used to, the one thing that gets us by is a routine. We're always on schedule. So that was the biggest, in my opinion, was the biggest hurdle I had to get over in order to try to, you know, once I got to, you know, the first year was one thing. But as the years piled up, looking back, I was fortunate enough to have an older guy there that had a great routine, and I did whatever he did. So at an early age, I caught on quick, and once he left the building, I did the same, and I've been able to still do it to this day.
That was Dre?
Yeah, Andre. Yeah.
Then, so your first game playing, did you have similar nervousness as same thing as, would you say Notre Dame, better or worse? Or?
I mean, it was
similar.
It was great. It was similar, but it was just another step up. You know, similar feeling, another step up. It's like I'm in the national. I can't get any higher than this.
Right.
And once I figure this out, that was my grind. I want to figure this out. I want to know everything it is to know about how I can make more plays. So it was actually, man, it's hard to put in words. I mean, I was nervous as hell. Yeah. You know, I had walked into a situation where I was the youngest guy on the defense, and everyone else there was one other guy that was a starter, that was a rookie, but he wasn't a starter. I was the only rookie starter. Everyone else was year 3, year 5, year 7. So it was similar in the sense when I stepped into the starting role my freshman year. I was the only freshman. So good thing for me, I had the experience. I'd been in this situation before. I knew the game had to end at some point. You know what I mean? So that's what kept me calm through most of the day. But my buddy Andre, that you know, he walked me through everything. Every snap, he would reiterate what my responsibility was, because I was shocked.
My and then the funny thing is, when I don't know if it was a bye week or the season was over, but I was still at Maryland. When he came back, he told me, he said, he kind of pulled me aside. He's like, Dave, you know, I remember he said, you know, Cleveland's, you know, they keep talking about you. And at that point, you know, I wasn't really thinking about it. That was really a cool moment for me. And I think that shows what kind of bond we had in college. They could see that, and some of the times, you know, I remember this play at BC. They ran this like counter or whatever. I took out the fullback, the pulling guard, and somebody else to leave this bum one-on-one for a tackle.
I don't remember that. I remember making the tackle.
I mean, he's the editor, so we'll find the clip and we'll put it in this interview just to show you and send it back.
Please find that so I can see it.
We're gonna find it. I mean, that happened so many times. So it's like, oh, you know, but it wasn't just that. It was the gel we had together that was really cool, and that really helped kind of put me on the map also. You know, just like he said in high school, he had a guy that kind of did it. So you know, you never know who's looking at you and when. One of the things, I could never gain weight. I was always, you know, I came in at 187, as low as that is. I don't know if you...
Nah, you finally told the truth. You finally told the truth. You was never over 200 pounds. You was 187.
I remember the first year, the year we beat Florida State, 04, at the end of the season.
Yeah, receiver weight.
At the end of the season, I was 211. at the end of the season. I started at 219 and finished at 211. But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
That's a lot.
At Cleveland, I was actually up at 239, 240. Even if he doesn't believe it.
Oh,
we got pictures of that too.
oh, Lord.
So anyway, I could never gain weight, so all I could do was lift weights. It's the only way I could gain weight. So training and working out has been the only thing that kind of took me to the next level. I had to get big, but after you get big enough, which I got too big, you start changing. You know, as soon as I got to the league, it got changed. Okay, now it's more about being more athletic or what your position is. How do you, like he said, I want to learn everything about this game and make every tackle. You learn how to, you know, what does my body need to do, or what can give me that little edge, or could get me around here faster, or be quicker, or anything like that. So training is so important. It's the only reason that's the number one reason I got to where I am, because otherwise I'd have been, you know, 190 and too slow to cover anybody. So as far as working out, I mean, he never really worked out like that. I mean, I always had to drag him in and kind of.
Never.
I mean, his 225 bench was like, you know, he did like 15.
The problem is this, Dave didn't have a woman, so he had a lot of testosterone.
Oh yeah, nice.
So he worked out 3 times a day.
I didn't have my chi.
I'm not doing that.
So check it out. My freshman summer, I got so lucky. Walk-ins did not have to be on campus, so I got to go home, which was awesome for me. I got to get away from all the BS, be at home, and for 9 weeks straight, I worked out twice a day, probably like 5 days a week. That summer, yeah, I didn't have a woman that summer. I could give a shit about that.
Yeah,
I had one focus. I came back. I think I went from like 209 maybe to like 223, whatever it was. But that one summer, which I'm gonna, you know, talk about in later videos, was just the point that kind of took me to the next level, and people looked and was like, wow. And you know, I started making a name for myself. One thing, the last kind of question I want to ask you is about working out. Favorite place to work out now and in college? What were your 2 favorite? And in high school, actually 3 phases. What were your favorite places to work out? The second question, it's a 2-part, is who kind of taught you the most about it, like, and gave you kind of your routine on all 3 levels?
I think my education about lifting kind of grew itself just from how early I started. You know, I've been playing since I was 7 years old. Mm-hmm. So obviously you don't have a routine when you're that young. Right. But once you get to high school, it was something as simple as, you see it all the time. Group of guys playing football. They train together after school, during the summer. They push each other. It was a good group of guys who I played with in high school that we pushed each other. And it was, I mean, being up under the squat rack, screaming, you know, just those old school power lifts. You know, you try to lift as much weight as possible. Right. So that was one phase. Right. The next phase was, okay, you get to college, and now, you know, not being in high school, you could run all day. You never got tired. Right. You had fresh legs. You were, you know, 16, 18 years old, could run all day. You fast forward, next phase, you get to college, and now you have an entire summer where you're doing track workouts. You're doing, you know, you're pushing vehicles. You're pulling rope. You're doing a lot of different things you've never done before. So along that process, you start to learn what works for your body, what doesn't. And in college, you're just doing what you're told. Right. You have a strength coach. Every guy does the same routine. And that's one thing that I really, probably towards my junior, senior year, I start paying more attention to it. It's like, you know what? Not everyone is structured to do the same thing.
That's AKA I'm weak as hell, so I gotta find something else.
What?
But go ahead.
What? So, what separated myself was, I realized, you know what, I need to be in the best condition, better than anyone around me. So with that said, you know, you can be strong. You can, you know, no one's looking at a bench 1 rep max on a football field. It's can you get off a block? Can you separate a block? Can you defeat a block? Can you, you know, do whatever you need to do upper body wise? But what's going to carry you is below the waist, and that's being in conditioning. You can be strong, but can you start a game as fast? Can you finish a game as fast as you can start it for 10 weeks or 16 weeks or however long your season may be? So that's when I started educating myself on, you know what, this works best for me. I can outrun anyone. I may not be the fastest, but I can outrun anyone. And as long as my strength is decent, and I can focus more on the techniques of getting off a block. Once I do get stronger, it's going to be that much better for me in the long run.
Right.
So in order for me to be successful.
And then in the league, did you have anybody that kind of showed you something, or?
Yeah, it was Vernon. I had went through a year and a half of 2 torn pecs, so I had to change everything I was doing. So that's when I focused more so on getting away from the big body lifts to focusing on more of the core work. The core work is, if your core is strong, it kind of just, you know, it flows throughout. You don't have those little small nicks and bruises, and when your core is strong, you can do a lot for a long period of time. So I got with a trainer out here, a guy named Myron Flowers, that we flourished for, this is my 4th season, 4th year, and I haven't missed a game since working with him. We tend to focus more on the core, a lot of conditioning, a lot of football specific in the spring, a lot of conditioning right now to build that muscle endurance. And as far as the upper body, we lift three days a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wednesday being the lower body day. Monday is a combination of more upper body, but it's specific, and it's more so, you know, body weight stuff. But it's a lot of reps, less weight, and you know, being young, you don't realize the benefit of, you want to put as much weight on as possible. But you don't have the muscle endurance. But doing it the other way around, you gain that muscle endurance so you can last. So that's what really kind of struck me and stood out.
One thing I'm going to get to for you guys is I'll just get a routine that he has just written out so we could share some of the things that we do now. It's similar with me, you know, I was, you know, always strong as hell, but there comes a point where you gotta get core strength, you gotta get more flexibility, you gotta get muscle endurance so you could last longer. You know, I stopped squatting altogether. You know, I don't put any weight on my back anymore. It's just, you know, especially when you play in pro sports, you know, there comes a time where you figure, I want to last as long as I can too. So a lot of that stuff you really don't need as much. You know, you don't need to put, you know, that's not, your back isn't designed to have 400 or 500 pounds on it.
No, it's not.
So a lot of the body weight stuff, the muscle endurance, if you do squats, you know, do you know, one-legged step back lunges so you don't have so much weight on your back. There's a lot of little tricks that, you know, I'm going to share, you know, to help just get people to the next level, because that's what it's all about. I hope you guys gain some knowledge from this. Any kind of final last words about, you know, this is really, if you were talking to yourself at, you know, in a high school level, any kind of final words you would tell yourself, you could whisper in your ear back then?
Yeah, it's something I tell guys to this day, and it's something that's simple, but a lot of us make complicated. And we spoke about it earlier. Have a plan, have a routine, stick to it, and be consistent. Whatever it is, whether it's sports, whether it's degree, or whatever it is, you stick to, you know, have those ducks in line, and you stay the course, everything will work out.
We might do a follow-up in the future, but you know, be on the lookout for 52, because he's still doing it. And that's it. Peace. Wow, I hope you enjoyed that interview with DQwell. I know I did. Here are my big takeaways from that. You see, he said first when he started off in high school, he wanted to go as FSU. That was his dream, but he didn't get in and he was crushed. He also said that if you didn't go to FSU, University of Florida, Miami, and you were in Florida, that you were considered really not that good enough, that you had to take your talents out of state. So that negative motivation really stayed with him. As I knew in college, every time we played FSU, he had a different look in his eye, and all week he was going to bring it because of that negative motivation he felt from the past. And he proved it, and he was also part of the first team in Maryland history to beat Florida State University when they were ranked number 5 in the country. Next, he said when he was 7, he started playing football. He's over 30 years old now, and he pukes before every single game. That's a lot of barf. So just because we're in major college athletics or the NFL doesn't mean the nerves and the fear leave. It happens week after week, but don't let that stop you. You see, he was also criticized for being too small. All throughout his career, he came in at 215 in college. He left at 230. He's barely 6 foot. But he made it through all that. In fact, he was the leading tackler in the NFL in 2008. So he's made it past all these obstacles. Next, Just because he didn't achieve his top goal and vision of playing at FSU, the path of pursuing that vision led him to extraordinary achievement. So it could still happen. So if you didn't have or hit your ultimate goal, don't let that crush your drive. Keep going. Keep dreaming. Don't give in. I believe in you. I believe in your talents. You can do this. Everything is right here and in here. Keep sharpening your vision and keep hunting your greatness. And what I'd like you to do right now is scroll down and hit the like button and leave a comment if you got some kind of value out of this, because I want to hear from you personally. I'm going to be reading and responding to as many as I can. Thank you very much. Happy hunting, and I'll see you soon.